Welcome to this episode of Hear It from a Huskie. I'm Dr. Laurie Fiorenza, and I am joined today by Lisa Vincent, our Assistive Technology Coordinator. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So can you just tell us what is meant by assistive technology?
Sure. So the technical definition of assistive technology is really any item, equipment, hardware, or software that is used to help improve, maintain the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. So that's sort of the definition proper. At OPRF, a lot of things that were once considered assistive technology have turned into more universal tools for learning that all students have access to. So it's been really exciting to see over the years how something that was once just special technology for a student that may have had a learning disability or a visual impairment is now technology that we make available to every single student.
That's wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit more about what ways you are supporting students with assistive technology?
Sure. So there's, a host of students that may have IEP accommodations that require them to use assistive technology. So my specific job is training them on the use of this technology. And I certainly do quite a bit of that. But I think some of the more exciting work that's going on here is that universal approach to technology. So we at OPRF have a subscription that we use every year for an extension called Read and Write for Google. And that is probably about 95% of the assistive technology that we provide for students at OPRF.
Okay.
And that is essentially a toolbar that students can use that can provide a variety of different supports in their reading, writing, note-taking, annotating. So for example, text-to-speech is an example. So when there's digital reading on a computer, they can press a play button and have highlighted words be read aloud by the computer that they can follow along with. Another example that's available to all students is speech recognition, voice dictation. So again, once upon a time, that was software that was individually installed for a specific student at a pretty decent price point, that now any student using a Google Doc or using a Chromebook of any sort is able to use their voice to write. So that can really bypass students that have motor impairments that make typing on the computer hard or handwriting difficult, or students that struggle with spelling. One of the things I say most to students is, we know that you have all this information, this beautiful information in your brain, but sometimes it gets lost in that translation onto a piece of paper. So with using assistive technology, you're not hindered by your spelling abilities. You can use voice dictation to get your ideas out on paper easier and faster.
That sounds like a really useful tool for a lot of our students.
A lot of students. And I think that's one of the exciting things, is that these tools are no longer just geared for students with disabilities. And we're finding that all sorts of students, just even if it's your preference, if you're an auditory learner, being able to listen to your history reading can be really powerful in terms of actually wanting to get it done, persevering through the reading assignment. So while the origins of assistive technology certainly are for individuals with disabilities, that is not who is using all of these tools. It's every kid out there can find some tool that might help them attack their studies.
So this sounds like a really amazing way to reduce the barriers and the stigma around assistive technology and who actually needs some assistance, right?
Absolutely. And I think it empowers students as learners too, because it gives them a choice for how they want to attack their assignments. There are good days and bad days for all of us. So, I was just talking with a teacher saying, sometimes you might be digging into that actual textbook and doing all the readings, but when you have a digital option and text-to-speech available, maybe if you're riding on the bus to a game and you don't have time, rather than skipping that assignment, you can use some of the universal technologies that you have access to just do it differently one day. Or if you're not feeling great and you want to be able to lay down and listen to your reading, we offer that ability to students.
Absolutely. That sounds so normal. You mentioned supporting teachers. Talk to me a little bit about how do you support our teachers here at OPRF with assistive technology?
Sure. So one of the projects that I'm sort of most excited about this year is some of the work that I'm doing with our World History Honors for All teacher collaboration team. So historically, students may have received a paper packet of all the readings for the unit. And through the work that I'm doing with that team, we're now offering, in addition to that paper packet, digital options for reading as well. And so they get their paper packet, but then they also get a post-it in the Google Classroom. We call it the digital reader that has a link to all of the various readings that are represented in the paper, and then also just an icon or a little hot link to whatever supportive tool they can use. So in that situation, students can have vocabulary support with talking dictionaries that are embedded onto the page so they can define words that they might not know or get a picture definition of a word they might not know, hear the text be read aloud, lower the lexile level of the reading so that the reading is a little bit less complex. So every unit in the Honors for All World History has these supports built in, and we're giving kids options because with an Honors for All class, you're going to have a more diverse group of learners in there from lower reading levels to higher reading levels, and we want to make sure that we are, designing to the edges of those groups. So I feel like that's some of the most exciting work that I kind of am proudest and excited about this year that I think has a reaching impact on a lot of students and not just students with disabilities.
Absolutely. So as we wrap this up, if I'm a student or a parent and I'm interested in learning more about some of the things you've mentioned or some additional assistive technology options, where should I start?
So it does depend a little bit about which kind of bucket you fall in the school. Your counselor is equipped with a bunch of information that they can share out to students and families about some of our universal tools that every single student has access to. Okay. So I would say the counselor is a great place to begin. Okay. If you are a student with an IEP, an individualized education plan, your case manager would normally be the starting point to get fluent in using those tools.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for joining me. I appreciate your time, and I am excited to learn some more about the assistive technology world.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hear It from a Huskie. Stay tuned for more from our Huskie faculty making an impact.